Ancient Mayans likely drew a map of the universe into the very structure of their oldest known monument, according to new research on Aguada, Phoenix, in southern Mexico. Built around 3,000 years ago, this massive ceremonial complex appears to have been designed as a cosmogram, a symbolic layout representing the universe. The site, shaped like a giant cross with long causeways extending from a central hub, is much larger than first believed, with axes stretching up to 9 kilometers. At its center, archaeologists found 2 nested cross-shaped pits filled with offerings, including seashells, jade carvings of animals, and a woman giving birth, and colored pigments placed in specific directions: blue to the north, green to the east, and yellow to the south, an early example of color symbolism tied to the cardinal directions, seen in later Mayan traditions. These discoveries suggest the monument was not only spiritual in purpose, but also a tool for organizing people. Surprisingly, the site shows no signs of elite control, no palaces, no statues of rulers, implying that thousands of people came together to build this massive structure without kings or social hierarchy. The construction itself was a huge undertaking, estimated to have taken more than 10 million person days for just the central platform, plus hundreds of thousands more for unfinished canal systems. These canals, along with the ritual layout and processional corridors, point to deep symbolic meaning, possibly linked to water and the cycles of nature. Yet some parts were left incomplete, showing that even large, organized societies have limits. Neanderthals may actually still be with us, at least in our DNA, according to a new study that challenges the idea they ever truly went extinct. Instead of dying off suddenly, Neanderthals may have gradually disappeared by blending into the larger Homo sapiens population through interbreeding. Researchers used a simple mathematical model to test how this kind of genetic absorption could have worked, and they found it was entirely possible for Neanderthal genes to have been mostly swallowed up within 10,000 to 30,000 years. This idea lines up with what we already know from genome studies, which show that most people today with non-African ancestry carry about 1 to 4% Neanderthal DNA. The model suggests that even without any survival advantage from Neanderthal genes, the sheer numbers and movement of Homo sapiens could have slowly diluted Neanderthal populations over time. Scientists believe there were at least 3 major waves of human migration out of Africa into Europe, starting more than 200,000 years ago, and each wave would have brought more interbreeding and more genetic mixing. The study doesn't rule out other possible reasons Neanderthals faded out, like changing environments or competition, but it offers a strong case for genetic absorption being a major factor. This process wouldn't have felt sudden or dramatic. It would have been gradual, like local groups being pulled into a much bigger tide. The research reflects a growing view among scientists that Neanderthals and Homo sapiens weren't totally separate species, but different human populations that overlapped and interacted in meaningful ways. Ancient humans buried their dead 120,000 years before modern humans, according to new claims about a mysterious species called Homo naledi. In a cave system deep beneath South Africa, researchers have found evidence suggesting that this small-brained, extinct human relative may have deliberately buried its dead more than 240,000 years ago, long before Homo sapiens or Neanderthals are thought to have developed funeral practices. The idea was first proposed in 2015, when paleoanthropologist Lee Berger and his team announced the discovery of at least 15 Homo naledi skeletons in a hidden cave chamber. The unusual placement of the bones, along with markings on cave walls and fragments of charcoal, led them to believe this could be one of the oldest burial sites ever found. But not everyone agreed. Other scientists argued the charcoal was not properly dated, the burial pits were not clearly defined, and the carvings might not even be human-made. A major review in 2024 concluded that there was not enough solid evidence to prove Homo naledi had funerary rituals. Still, Berger and his team did not back down. In their latest study, they reanalyzed the site and argue that natural processes like gravity, water flow, or accidental falls into the cave cannot explain how the bodies ended up buried in that specific way. They now suggest the most likely explanation is that Homo naledi intentionally placed the bodies there and buried them with sediment. That is a big deal, because it suggests this species had some level of cultural awareness, even though its brain was much smaller than ours. If true, it would completely change our understanding of when complex behaviors like burial began and which species were capable of them.